Welcome to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. I'm your host, Jill Perrick, mindset coach and imposter syndrome expert, and I'm here to tell you that imposter syndrome isn't a life sentence. It's just a dysfunctional way of thinking. If you feel like your ideas are unoriginal, that your message isn't necessary or important, or like you're a complete and total fraud, then you've come to the right place. Time to kick your inner imposter to the curb and create life-changing results for you and your clients. Let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome back to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. I'm your host, Jill Perrick, business mindset coach and imposter syndrome expert. And the Worthy Woman Method waitlist is open for you to save $222 when you enroll into the Worthy Woman Method. And what is the method? It is the business mindset program. It is a lifetime access business mindset program where you will learn how to create that consistent income in your business. So this is for coaches who, they've been around the block, they've been selling, they've been showing up, they've been doing content, but you feel like something's missing. You feel like, okay, how do I turn this into a legit thing? I want the consistency. I want to be able to really grow this and really know that I can be a full-time entrepreneur. And even if you are doing it full-time, the belief still isn't there. And that's because our strategy comes from inside of us. It comes from the thoughts that we have and the feelings that we have. And if we have unhealed trauma, if we have a thought process or a thought error that is not serving us, if we have things around money and family and success and worth, if we have a big muddy mess around those things, it's going to be really hard for you to see the bigger picture for your business and make the impact that you want to make. So if you are an online coach and you are wanting that community, this is lifetime access. So you get lifetime access to resources, to the Slack community for on-the-go coaching and the coaching calls. If you want all of that, the support, the resilience, the belief in yourself, and the fact that you can do this full time and generate generational worth and wealth, then the Worthy Woman Method is for you. And you can go to the link in my show notes and get on the waitlist to save $222 off when we enroll. The next enrollment period is in August, so hop on that. Let's go. Hop on that. Sounds like I'm going to say, never mind. I'm not going to say what I was going to say. This podcast can get really raunchy really fast, but we're not going to say that today. So, hi guys, how are we? How's it going? We're going to talk about the fear of being fully seen. I know, getting right into it. And it's funny because this is something that the level that my clients are at, it is never in the very beginning because there's always a fear of failure in the beginning. But once you reach a certain point, you realize that you really can't fail unless you quit. There's really no way to fail in your business. So I just want to start that off with saying that you cannot fuck it up. You cannot fail. But let's lead with the energy though of you can't fuck it up. How would your business change if you led with that? How would your sales calls change if you told yourself I can't mess this up. I can only learn from this, first of all. Second of all, it's never about the fear of failure because you only fail if you quit. You only really fail if you decide, you know what, I'm just not going to do this anymore, and you sign off and you never sign on again. That would be an example of technically failing because you're choosing to quit. But you realize at a certain point that it's not even about failure, it's about the fear of success. And the driving contributor in terms of the fear of success is the fear of being fully seen. I have a client who runs events for 20-somethings, and we were coaching on a call one day, and she was like, I don't want to be seen as the leader. I want it to be a group effort. And I said, well, we're in a group right now, because she was in a group program. And I said, and I'm still the facilitator. So I said, what is the thing with you being the star of the show or the expert? And that's exactly what it was. It was the imposter syndrome coming up for her in terms of being seen as an expert. Because I said, even if you have a group and you have events and stuff, you're still the one facilitating it. So there still needs to be a level of you being seen. It's not humility, it's fear, like the fear of being fully seen, because if you are fully seen, then people see all of you. And something that may be going on for you is you may be a people pleaser. So you may be somebody who really does things and moves with the flow of the group, or if you're in a conversation with somebody, you usually agree with their points of view. You can have your opinions, but you usually kind of go with the flow so as to not disrupt the harmony. And when you come into this space and you say what you want to say, there is some fear that comes up around being fully seen, and that means not being polarizing even, but just giving your opinion that somebody may not agree with, or just saying something where somebody could have a different thought. And at the end of the day, people are going to have thoughts, and that doesn't mean that yours are invalid. And when you don't put an emphasis on building trust and belief in yourself, you will bend to everything that everybody else thinks. This happened for me a lot in the beginning. I didn't learn to trust myself. I was conditioned to constantly question everything I thought. You could change my mind like that. I just snapped like that because I just didn't trust my own word. I didn't think that what I thought was good enough or valuable enough. And that also led me to look at other coaches and other people in the online space and see what they were doing and not copy it, but kind of like model it. So I would change my niche a bunch of times because I thought this is what the people want, instead of getting really clear on this is exactly what I want to do. And when I did that with imposter syndrome, I had a lot of imposter syndrome in terms of being like, do people even want this? And I had to do a lot of work around that in terms of, no, I am the imposter syndrome coach, and people come to me because they see the value in overcoming their inner imposter. And now that is a reality today. So a lot of us as women are taught to like defend ourselves in terms of the opinions that we have. We have to prove ourselves. And that's what it might feel like if you have an opinion. You would waver if somebody were to challenge it. And the fear of being fully seen is really just the fear of being called out, which is so tied to imposter syndrome. You know, the fear of being canceled, the fear of being called out, the fear of somebody not agreeing with us. But we very rarely actually look into that fear in terms of it being like, well, who specifically would have to disagree with you for you to change your stance on something? And are there things that you are so firmly planted in that even if somebody were to say something, what would your response be? Would you even respond? These are questions that you have to ask yourself in terms of, okay, I'm going to say an opinion online, or I'm going to start talking about this topic, or I'm going to go full in on this. What's my contingency plan? What's the plan for if somebody comes back and says, oh, I don't think that, or you shouldn't do that? Because, you know, that could happen. But even if it does, what's your contingency plan? And is that really going to stop you from up-leveling and from having the business of your dreams? I know that a lot of people have fear around making lots of money or being famous or really growing their business to a huge scale, because then people would really see who they are. I remember having a fear around being fully seen because I thought no one would like me if they truly knew who I was, because I had such a people-pleasing layer on top of myself that, like, at the root of me, I'm not actually a people pleaser. I do have opinions and things that I think, and I do have quirks about me and character traits about me that sometimes I wouldn't fully reveal because I wanted to modify the way that somebody saw me. And I've talked about this on the podcast before, but people pleasing is a form of manipulation because you are not showing somebody your true self. And I think the cool thing about online business is I can jump on a call with anybody and begin swearing or just being myself, whatever. And like, if that person doesn't like that, like, that's their own thoughts about it. And I don't have to pretend to be anybody that I'm not. And I think when I learned, like, okay, how am I going to process the fear of being fully seen? I also had to process, what is it going to feel like if somebody reacts to me in a way that makes me think that they don't like me, or makes me think that they don't like what they see? How am I going to process that emotion? How am I going to work through that in order to come out on top and not give a fuck at the end of the day? You know, like, we can care and we can give that attention, but at the end of the day, is that really serving us to think about all of the people who are opposing us versus thinking about the people who are hanging on to our every word? I talk about this a lot within the Worthy Woman method with regards to sales and content to sell your stuff, right? I talk about how, like, you're not a lawyer in the courtroom defending yourself. You are a person in Gucci, a salesperson in Gucci who is selling you this amazing bag because you walked in fully intending to be in Gucci and to buy the bag. You are selling to people who want to be there, who agree with you, who think that you have something to offer them, and who want to learn from you, be in your energy, and make the changes in their life that they want to make, and they believe that you can help solve their problem. So when I think about being the star of the show or being the expert or being completely seen, I think like, okay, how is it going to feel if I'm completely seen and they don't like me? How am I going to process and work through that? But like, what are the benefits to being fully seen? What is going to happen for my business? What decisions can I make? What profit can I make? What can I do with the advantage of being fully seen? And how freeing is that going to be for my life? And how much better is that going to be for my life? You know, the fear really exists in our minds because when we think of something as being really scary, it's usually just a little bit of discomfort. And I find that if I were to really think about it, if I were to say an opinion online or something like that, and somebody were to comment on my post, I actually talked about this in an earlier podcast episode, but I remember making a post about certifications, how like certifications aren't gonna make you feel good enough. I put a disclaimer in the post. I said certifications are necessary depending on what kind of coach you are, and like they're still very much important. But if you think obtaining the certification is going to make you feel good enough, you're wrong. That's not what's going to happen, because a circumstance can't influence your feelings. Your thoughts do that. So this person commented and she was like, this is dangerous information to be spreading. You should be certified, blah, blah, blah. And I was so triggered because somebody was opposing to my view, and I made it mean all of these things, and I made it mean that nobody liked me and all this stuff. And when I really looked at it, I was just like, this was actually just a couple minutes of discomfort. I could have allowed this to just be a couple minutes of discomfort instead of a whole day of feeling like shit and feeling like this person didn't understand me and blah, blah, blah. And one of my coaches actually says, like, allow yourself to be misunderstood. Like, allow yourself to be misunderstood, because the right people, they're going to understand you. The right people, they're going to want to work with you. They're going to hang on your every word, and they're there for a reason. That post hit so many people in which they were like, yes, oh, this made me feel so much better. I remember when I got certified in this and I thought I'd feel so much better, and I actually didn't, because it wasn't even about the certification. It was your beliefs about yourself, your thoughts about yourself. So I got this really good feedback from so many people, but this one person caused me emotional turmoil. But that person didn't. It was my thoughts about it. It was my people-pleasing tendencies. It was the fear of being fully seen that caused me emotional turmoil. And it was because I didn't have a contingency plan. I didn't look into it because I was actually afraid of what I would find if I really looked into, okay, like, what's the worst case scenario? What if somebody does come at me, you know? Like, what emotions are gonna arise and how am I gonna move forward from it? So to wrap this up, the fear of being fully seen, there are so many things underneath it. It's your thoughts about yourself, about who you are, about the characteristics that you have, about who you are as a coach. It's the beliefs that you have around money and sales and your business, around the services that you provide. Are you afraid that when somebody fully sees you, they're going to see that you have no idea what you're talking about, or that you're a fraud, or any of that stuff? Those are just your thoughts that you have about yourself. Those are just the beliefs and things that were layered on you from society and from your childhood, from shit somebody said to you in the playground, from your parents instilling it in your mind, from a past client who was a terrible client, was not ideal, from a coach who you didn't enjoy working with. There are so many reasons as to why you may feel like it's afraid to fully, authentically be yourself. And that is the work that we take so deep in the Worthy Woman method. So you can show up fully, authentically, confidently, so you can feel good, so you can share your heart and share your message, because the only people that listen to this fucking podcast are good ass people who want to do amazing things in the world. And I know you're good enough, and the work is never deciding that you're good enough, because you already are. That should be just obvious. But the work is in what you would do, what you would say, and who you would be if you knew that you were worthy, if you knew that you were already worthy and good enough. What would you do? Who would you be if you could fully be authentic in your message and your full expression and who you were? What impact could you make on the world if you didn't have the fear of being seen? So that's the work we do in the Worthy Woman method. So go to the link in my show notes and sign up for the waitlist, and you can save $222 on enrollment when you sign up for the waitlist. And enrollment is in August for the second launch of the Worthy Woman method. You can join me and all the amazing ladies inside, and I'll see you then. Bye. Thanks so much for listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. Check out the show notes to get started on your free 3-day challenge to overcome your inner imposter. Once you're done listening today, screenshot this episode and share it to your Instagram story, tagging me at YourCoachJill so I can share it on my page. See you next time.